This Liberty Sports Update is brought to you by Beacon Credit Union. All right, Scott, entering week 2, what's been the emphasis first couple of days here?
Just this week, we're kind of the point where we're starting to review, and so I just want to get good at the base. That was kind of today, just focusing on the fundamentals, going back through, and basically hitting our first couple of days installs. Just trying to get, where we're fundamentally sound. The knowledge portion of everything has been installed now, so just trying to get the consistency that we want, ones and twos all the way across the board.
You told us last week the D-line's really starting to take shape. How about for you, looking through it, your D coordinator eyes, what group is kind of standing out right now?
I think our D-line's, considerably more talented than we were in the spring. I think our corners are competing. I think our linebackers have improved tremendously. I'm excited about some of our growth, at the safety position. So I think all the way across the board, we're making strides in the right direction. It's just how quickly can we get there, And so one of the big things that we talk about all the time is just focusing on the process. And it's not, who do we play week 1 or, who do we play week 2? It's more focusing on us improving us and, just getting better from week to week. And I think, what I've learned over the course of my career doing this, when you just focus on you, focus on improving, your product and the process, that, over time things generally take care of itself. So that's kind of where we're at.
What about in your safety room? How solidified are the ones and twos there?
Yeah, so we don't really have ones and twos here. I talk to our kids about that. I mean, we don't. In today's college football, yes, are there quote-unquote starters, but when you play 80, 85 snaps against some of these tempo offenses, you've got to have depth. And so, we understand that. And so, I'd rather have a two-deep of a quality two-deep that I trust that can play hard every single snap than just play a bunch of guys the majority of snaps that are going to be gassed. And so that depth is key. And obviously year 1, here with us just recruiting a, one class, that depth might not be all the way where we want it yet, but I'm proud of how some of these guys have improved in the positions that they put themselves in to be consistent. So I really don't look at it as ones and twos. Honestly, don't. Obviously, there's competition. The guys want to know who's going to start. I want to have a 2 that I feel like is a hard decision to make because he's just about as good as the 1. And I think we're getting to that point where we legitimately have at least 2 guys at every position that are going to consistently push for those, starter reps, so to speak.
Rover's a new position for this group, and Elijah Benton was telling us last week it's similar to the strong safety last year. What do you want to see out of that Rover position there in the back end of the defense?
Well, so, we play, with, we cross-train guys at multiple spots, on our defense. I think you have to nowadays. And, so he's learned, strong safety. He's learned Rover. He's learned, some of those different spots. And so, him, Javon Scruggs, Ben Alexander, some of those guys that are all, kind of rotating between those spots. So, that's a position for us that, has got to be a dynamic guy. He's got to be able to do a little bit of everything. He's got to be able to play, play zone, play man like everywhere in college football, but also be able to, be a thumper, into the short side of the field for us. So that's kind of a jack of all trades positions. And I think, Elijah's a really heady football player. That's one thing. His just his IQ in general. He's extremely, extremely smart young man, probably one of the smartest, if not the smartest football players I've ever coached. So he's a guy that can absorb, multiple positions and learn multiple things.
Isaac Steele's a guy that in the open practice last Sunday kind of stood out, had an interception or 2, and he's a young guy, but he's got a little bit of experience behind him, having transferred from Arizona. How is he, playing in this safety room as you get closer to the season?
Yeah, he really had a pretty average spring, and he's a guy that's really come on this fall and improved tremendously. I'm really pleased with where he's at, and I called him out on it in the spring as a guy that played a lot of snaps that I wanted to see more out of and expected more out of. And really the last couple of days, I think he started to come on, and so I'm really proud of him. I'm proud of his growth. I'm proud of how he's taken coaching and criticism, and so I think he's improved his game tremendously, and he'll be a key player in our secondary, for sure.
Javon Scruggs, a guy you moved from cornerback where he played last year to safety in the spring. What's his maturation been like at safety now that it looks like he's rotating there with Elijah there between Rover and strong safety?
Yeah, so he rotates between Rover and free safety for us. just a competitor. I mean, he is. He's got it. You know, when it comes to a guy that loves football, and I mean loves it. A lot of fun to coach just because of his personality and demeanor. I expect him to be a really good player for us for a long time to come. He's not a typical corner that you move to safety that's afraid to hit. You know, he wants to tackle and loves it. And you know, obviously a local kid. You know, who was a high school quarterback. So you know, you talk about in the safety room a guy that played quarterback for a very successful program. You know, played in state championship game 4 straight years in high school. So. He's a guy that, you know, gets it. He understands it from a football IQ sense, even though, you know, it wasn't the biggest program. Anytime you've played a position where the ball's always in your hands, that's generally a good thing if you've got the mentality to handle, you know, playing on defense. So, proud of him.
2 true freshmen in your room too, Meganson and Glaze. How have they adjusted to the college game, and do you anticipate them maybe playing this year?
Yeah, I think, well, both of them are, you know, really athletic. Obviously, we're working through some stuff, you know, there with Micah right now. But Mike is extremely smart. He has picked up on our defense really well. And, you know, Chris has gotten a lot of reps too as we've gone through camp, and very athletic. So both those guys I think are going to definitely, you know, be contributors in our room. Like I told both of them the other day, it's a long season. So you got to plan on playing, and they both are. They know that they're gonna end up, you know, making an impact for us at some point, whether it's week 1 or, you know, week 3 or 4, and you know they're gonna have to add depth on special teams. So those are 2 guys that we had, you know, signed before I guess officially took the job here, but you know I've loved them since the first day I met them. Great personalities, great demeanor, very professional, and both local kids that, you know, I'm really glad that we have. You know, on our program.
Scott, a couple of weeks ago, you know, I spoke. You wanted to see this team play physical. How physical do they want to play, and what have you seen from the physicality so far?
Yeah, I think we've improved from that from the spring. You know, and I think you talk about physicality, it all starts up front, right? If your O-line, D-linemen aren't physical, and you know, our D-line, the line of scrimmage has very rarely been changed on us in camp. You know, I mean, when you look at, we've got some big guys up front. I think our linebacker room has increased from a physicality standpoint, you know, with guys like you know, Waylon Kozad and Aubrey Williams that you know are going to strike you, and I think our safeties, you know, I think even guys like Bejor, like, you know, one of the big challenges from him from last year this year is, you know, he's not the biggest guy, you know, consistency tackling. And I was really pleased on Saturday to see how he came up and had some, you know, 10-yard routes completed, but he's tackling AGG in the open field, which is, you know, one of the bigger wide receivers we'll see, you know, this season. So, and consistently doing it. So I think from that standpoint, we've improved a lot. You know, it's always that fine line in camp, right? When do you, how much live is too much, because, you know, too much and then, you know, knock on wood, something happens. So, but I think we're playing pretty hard. I think we're starting to buy into those things. And, you know, so I'm pleased with how we've progressed, but also know we need to keep coming further too.
A new position I heard someone mention the other day is a position that's been popping up around college football is now the bandit position that you guys are running. What do you want to see out of, you know, that position, and how hard someone needs to play at that spot?
Yeah, it's just a bandit for us, just another name for, you know, our boundary defensive end. You know, we're a 4-man front team, and you know, so you know, we're kind of interchangeable with that. It's just different way we name it. So, you know, probably not as, I guess, maybe exotic as other people do things. We're going to kind of be who we are, you know. But obviously, you know, Jesse plays both sides and Austin plays both sides. So that's a position that we want to be dynamic. You know, hopefully we can affect the quarterback with. So.
Brian Davis and Seneca Espinoza are 2 other veteran safeties you've got. How have they adapted to the new coaching staff and system?
Yeah, I think both of them are talented, and you know, both of them. Seneca's pretty much focused primarily on one position. Ryan is, you know, another guy that's learned multiple spots, and you know, I think both have become more consistent, and both of them can run. Both of them are physical, which are key characteristics for us, and both of them are going to also have to, you know, provide us key depth on special teams too. And that's one thing in our room, you know, I talk about a lot is I want all the guys that I coach on special teams, on every single one. I want defensive players on it. Some some coordinators are, hey, don't put my best players on special teams. I don't think we have that luxury here. We need to play the best guys we have on all of our teams, and those would be two guys I think would be critical in that role as well.